Okay, so we are going to talk about fascinating topic, Shabbos related, which is the Friday night prayers. And not we're not going to focus on the beginning part, not the Lichadoidi or not the Lichunaran, not the Lichadoidi. We're going to focus after we finish the tefillah, the what we call the Shemaris, although it's not really 18 brachos, nor is it 19. But when we finish this standing prayer, the Amida prayer, we we start saying Vayichulu. Vayichulu Hashemayim V'aretz V'chol Tzilam. Hashem finished creating the heavens and the earth and all of their legions, right? And then we come on and we say, there's a special blessing that's printed in the Siddur, and that blessing had a special origin that was established by the sages. And this is brought in the Shulchan Aruch, chapter 268, and it's in Seif Yud Gimel, where it mentions that we say this special bracha. Only the Shliach Tzibor says that. Only the Chazan. Why did now? It's called Me'ein Sheva. Why is it called Me'ein Sheva? It means similar to 7. You know, there's on the Shemona Esrei or a Mida prayer on the Shabbos. There are 7 blessings instead of 19. And there is a couple words in the prayer of this special Friday night evening prayer, the main Sheva it's called, which allude to all of the 7 blessings in a very terse format. Okay? And the question is, first of all, why do we say it? We don't repeat the Shemona Esrei on a Monday, Tuesday, Sunday. We don't do that. Only on the Shabbos, Friday night. So what is the difference? So the answer is brought here in the Alter Rebbe, because the olden days, the Beit HaKnesiot, in those times, was in a field. Okay? They used to do it in the field. That's where, there's not, they didn't daven in the field, they davened in a building, but it was in the middle of some far field. And when they would leave the shuls, they would walk back home. And the mazikim, some either dangerous forces, spiritual or whatever it may be, dangerous. It was dangerous to travel alone at night. And they would travel from the synagogue, which was in the middle of a far out field. It was dangerous. So they decided, the rabbis enacted that they should have an extra little addition to the davening right after the Amidah. And this would allow anybody who was delaying in the minyan, falling behind, that they would be able to catch up. It's literally a feeling, Ahavas Yisrael, love a fellow Jew, that they shouldn't be left alone. Now we know that if 2 people travel together, the Gemara tells us you'll be okay at nighttime, but 1 person travel alone would be dangerous. So we didn't want that to happen. And interestingly, we find that since the whole purpose is for everybody to catch up, so only really 1 person needs to say it. And that's the Shliach Tzibor. Okay. Now, now the question is, do we say it if the synagogue is not a set synagogue? This is actually something which is relevant right now, because sometimes, people want to go to daven with a minyan. They don't, some are going to shuls, some are not. Some are davening in a house minyan or some outdoor setting because they want to stay outdoors from the, maybe that's helping against the spreading of a virus by anywhere form, perhaps. So therefore the question comes up, if you're not davening in a synagogue, you're davening in a non-set place, would you still be able to recite this bracha? So, number 1, the Alter Rebbe in his Sif Tesvav says that you have to have a set Beit HaKnesses, a set synagogue to do it. The Chachamim, when they established this extra bracha, they never established it if it would be a non-set minyan, in a non-set place. Okay? So if it's a one-time davening in a one-time place, they would... we don't say this bracha. We just don't say it. Okay, and then if you were davening in a chassan, a house of a chassan, a house of a groom who just got married, and they're having or an avel, and they're just making a minyan, it's not intending to be a continuous pattern, accustomed to daven there. So then we would not say this special blessing, because since there's no set minyan over there, it's not possible to make we should have this blessing in order to ensure that anyone who will finish late will be covered, that they can catch up. Because only if this is going to be on a regular basis would the Chazal establish that we should say this blessing. Okay, this is more or less. So then the question comes up: what about in Bisman Hazeh? Like in our situation right now, do we say this bracha or not? So there are conflicting opinions. The Kaf HaChaim writes that even if you don't have a set synagogue, you should still say it. And those who follow the Kabbalah in all directions, in all forms, Kabbalah in all aspects, they would say it regardless. Because of the Kabbalistic ideas, we'll maybe discuss some of them in a moment. On the other hand, there are opinions that, it's not said, so the Shulchan Aruch seems to not allow. But there is another reasoning why maybe we should be able to say it, even if we don't have a set meaning, even if you don't need to come to what we mentioned, the reason of the Kabbalists, that you should always say. That is that there's I believe the Marsham writes that when everybody's unable to say the blessing, I'm sorry, when the shuls are almost all closed, this depends. Some shuls are opening it, but when people have to be in a house meeting, they have to be out of the regular place for various reasons, either because there's curfew, and I don't know, curfew, and you really can't go anywhere, right? But if they can't travel far, and it's encouraged that people should daven in open areas and stuff. So that gives the special importance to even one of these types of minyanim, and therefore you would be able to recite the blessing. So there is room, if this minyan looks like it's going to last for some amount of time, and there aren't that many good alternatives, that one can say this blessing regardless. Okay. And then I'll finish off an interesting Maisa that the story that the Shulchan Aruch Harav tells us about it's actually in Sif Yud Zayin in the same chapter. He says there was a chassid once who saw in a dream another chassid, and that chassid's face was greenish, and he asked him, "Why is your face so green?" And he said, because I was speaking when everyone else was saying the passage of Vaychulu Hashemayim V'Aretz. Actually, we say Vaychulu 3 times. One time in the middle of the Amidah, one time immediately after the Amidah, and then we say a third time when we say Kiddush. Friday night, we're already saying it 3 times, how Hashem finished creating the heavens and the earth. Okay? So he says, I was speaking during that time, and I didn't say with them the words together. And also because I would speak when the Chazan, the Shlet Tzibur, was saying the special blessing of Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu, the special blessing that we say. He says he was speaking during that time. And also he said he would speak when they would say the Kaddish, the Iskadav Iskadash, Adameni Hishmi Rabbah. He says I wasn't careful in this, and I didn't listen attentively to hear with kavana, and therefore, as the Shulchan Aruch writes, one should be extra careful in these ideas. Okay, now a little bit of Kabbalah. So, what is the meaning of this blessing? What is the meaning of this blessing? So, if we say the words are Konei Shemayim Va'aretz, the acquirer of Shemayim, of the heavens and the earth, right? So that's number one. We also say Magin Avos, again the shield of Avos, right? These little words are reflecting on little parts of the Amidah. And the Magin Avos goes in place of the Magin Abraham. Okay. Mechaya Mesim b'ma'amaro, Hashem brings back the dead with his words. That's in place of the part of the Shemona, which is the Mechaya Mesim. We say the words Hakel HaKadosh. God is holy. That's in place of the words in the Shema and the Amida, which have similar words to that. Yom Shabbos Kadsho, on the day of Shabbos in its holiness. This is in place of the words Mekadesh Shabbat, that Hashem sanctifies the Shabbat. And then we also say the fun of Na'avod, in front of him we serve him. This is in place of the words of Sheva Avodah, that he should return his service. And we say that he should return his glory, his divine presence to Tzion. And also we say V'nodeh lishmo, we shall thank his name. That's in place of the word we acknowledge his name. We shall acknowledge his name. This is in place of the words Modim by the Nida, that we acknowledge you. And then finally it says Adonai Shalom, the master of peace. This represents the blessing of Sim Shalom, to place of peace. So we see that the 7 parts of the Amidah are all alluded in just a couple words of this small Me'ein Sheva blessing. There is a midrash which tells us that was the midrash that I told you, that there was this rabbi whose face, we said his face was colored, and he says because he wasn't paying attention, he was speaking when they were saying this blessing. So we see how important this blessing is. Now, when you say koinei shemayim va'aretz, what should you have in mind? What do we need to think about when we say this blessing? So the word koine means to acquire, right? Shemayim, the heavens, the arts, and the earth. So Shemayim, of course, represents heavenly matters, and Aretz, land, represents physical matters. Gashmis, physical things, even could possibly be including the things that are not kosher. Shemayim, heavens, represent the holy, heavenly things, right? Hashem created, and they are connected, they are cleaving to their source of the etzim, the mahut, the essence of God. But the aretz of the world, the earthenly part of the world, the physicality part of the world, those things are including in them even things which are forbidden, things like non-kosher food or other non-kosher things. That's also included in the physical world. They can even deny God's existence, as if to say that there was a God, but he left the world. But on Shabbos, what we find is a very interesting thing. On Shabbos, even though that there is this conflict between the heavens and the earth, but when it comes to Shabbat, we have what's called Aliyah Sa'olamos, that the worlds go up. The worlds go to a higher status, what they normally would be going throughout the week. And therefore, they all become very elevated and holy. And even the physicality, even the lowly things become elevated to a higher level. And that's why when we say Koine Shemayim Ba'aretz, Hashem is the Kone, he acquires, he's the owner of the heavens and the earth, right? That everything on Shabbos becomes, as if to say, very equal. In the wording of the Rebbe, Nikar Ba'olam, it's recognized in the world that he is his world, Shehu Olamo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the world is like one with God on Shabbat, on Shabbos. Through that the world becomes nullified and it feels Shabbos in the air. Refinement and spiritual refinement going up above. And that this comes from God's open revelation in the world on Shabbos. So it comes out that Hashem is not only a God of the heavens, but he's even a God of the land. As the Midrash says, Elokei Hashemayim means the God of heavens, means that until I inform my creatures, the creatures of the God of heaven, and that eventually happened. And since I informed them, I became the God of this world as well. And that's why on Shabbos we say Kel Elyon Koine Shemayim V'aretz, the God of above, and he is the creator, and he acquires the heavens, Shemayim V'aretz, and the land. This is showing us it's not enough that we say that Hashem acquires everything. But in order to show that he's a real spiritual, he's God of everything, including the lowest of the low, Hashem acquires that as well. All right. And therefore, to conclude on this topic, this fascinating topic, we learned why we say this special blessing of Me'in Sheva, specifically on the night of Shabbos, and we don't say it on other evenings because they used to pray in their homes. They didn't have to go outdoors because the synagogues were far out in the fields. But on the Shabbos, people wanted, of course, to daven in the synagogue, so they were afraid of, as we mentioned, people that might delay, so they made this blessing that will give time for everyone. And then we went on more or less to explain that the relevance, can you say this blessing if there is not a established minyan or not? And we gave a few reasons when it could be that you can say the blessing even if it's not an established minyan, when there's not many other options, or it becomes more or less a regular concurring minyan, then you would even then, there's ample room to say you can say it. And we went on to explain a little bit of the wording of this this prayer, and that the koine shemayim v'aretz, we focused on those three words. Hashem create, he acquires the heavens and the earth. That on Shabbos, this is what happens. The kedusha Shabbos is not only in the spiritual realms, but it's even in the physical realms, and that's why the aretz, the physical world, becomes holy, and Hashem is acquiring it. And we said that this kedusha is not only a gift, but it comes out because Hashem acquires it. Koinei shemayim v'aretz. Hashem acquires heavens and the earth. That a person works very hard throughout the week, and he allows Hashem to acquire his hard work, his arts. So the work that we do throughout the weekday and our preparation for the Shabbos allows us to be able to elevate ourselves and appreciate a much more meaningful Shabbos. And of course, in addition to our work that we do in preparation for Shabbos, Hashem adds and he sanctifies the earth and the Jew in extra types of kochos, extra type of abilities to be able to cleave to newer sites. So may we merit not only to experience this Shabbos on a very high level, but we should merit to experience the Shabbat on a level of Yom Shekulo Shabbat, which is the conclusion of all of Galut. And Bezrat Hashem, we will merit to Mashiach now. Thank you.